Hey, how's it going, guys? Mr. Boss for the win here, and in today's Red Dead Redemption 2 video, we're going to be seeing what happens if you try to lure the legendary alligator to San Denis. So this is a fun experiment that I've wanted to try for a while now, ever since I did some experimenting with it in the mission Country Pursuits. In case you guys missed that video, basically what I did was mess around with the legendary bull gator that appears in that mission in Chapter 4. I figured out what happened if you didn't shoot at it. It would eventually eat Arthur. It would eventually eat Dutch, which was kind of funny in a weird getting eaten by an alligator type of way. But nonetheless, that's the first time in which you actually experience this legendary animal. Now, let's talk about unlocking this legendary animal, because I've been doing some research and a lot of people seem to have trouble with getting the legendary alligator to spawn in. So the game officially tells you that you have to complete the mission Country Pursuits in Chapter 4. However, I went to my save in Chapter 4 that had completed Country Pursuits, and I went to the area and it was not available. Like, the alligator would just simply not spawn in. So what I have found that you have to do is you have to wait till the gang leaves Lemoyne. So slight spoilers here. In Chapter 4, your gang is located at Shady Belle. In Chapter 5, it's very briefly located in LeCay, which is still in the swamp. Chapter 6, you move to Beaver Hollow, which is out of Lemoyne. So when I came back in Chapter 6, I had no problem spawning in this legendary alligator. Now, if you do have an issue that says you've entered legendary animal territory, but there's too much activity here, what I would recommend doing is going up to where the bait shop is, saving your game, and then just reloading back in. That will typically do it. If there's like a lot of traffic on the road, or if there's too many animals in the area, it simply won't spawn in, and sometimes it'll have a lot of difficulty doing that. So hopefully this clears up a lot of confusion. That really helped me, and it was super frustrating the first time I was trying to find this legendary animal, and I just simply couldn't. So it was very frustrating, but that is how you do it. Now, you might be asking yourself, well, what separates this legendary gator from any other legendary animal in the game? Well, number one is its proximity to the city. Most legendary animals that you are going to encounter are going to be out in the wild, obviously. So they're not really close to anything. However, because the swamp is so closely related to the city of San Denis, the legendary alligator is literally a couple of steps away. Number two, it's also, in my opinion, the fiercest of the legendary animals, and it's definitely the biggest, as you guys will see in a bit. So just like all the legendary animals, you just have to find 3 clues, and then the animal will spawn. And this thing is absolutely massive. As you guys can see here, like, it's literally giant. It's probably 3 or 4 times the size of Arthur, who's already a really big man. Now, I don't know why this alligator is like this golden white color. Maybe you guys can let me know in the comments down below. So at first I thought this was going to be very simple and very straightforward. I was just going to shoot at the alligator, and then I was going to be able to bring it to San Denis. However, this legendary alligator does something kind of weird. If you get close to it and shoot the alligator, yes, it will become agitated. However, after a certain point, it will not become agitated on you, and it will go back into the swamp. So that's kind of weird. I expected a fearsome beast like this to continually charge at you no matter what. I didn't expect it to eventually retreat back to its habitat. So that made this process a little bit tricky, because you have to stay close enough for it to be agitated, and you also have to keep consistently shooting at it. Now, the first problem I ran into is that when you're trying to lure this thing away, if you're not careful enough and you let it get too close, you'll end up getting snapped up by the alligator. I'm sure you guys are wondering what happens if you get caught in the alligator's jaws. Well, that's what occurs. It's literally an insta-kill. Now, another reason why I would recommend saving before you do this is I noticed I had a difficult time getting the alligator to spawn back in if it ended up killing me. So I would recommend saving if this is an experiment that you want to try out for yourself. And again, if you save nearby, it'll take like a minute to get it to respawn back in. So I figured out kind of what I had to do here. I sort of had to balance getting close enough and firing at the alligator as well. Now, the second problem I ran into is sort of navigating the minefield of other alligators getting to Saint Denis. As you guys can see here, I was making my way pretty good, and then I ended up running into another alligator, which sort of acted as a speed bump for the legendary bull gator to catch up and get me in its jaws. So at this point, I was getting pretty frustrated trying to get this animal to San Denis, and I figured it might be easier if I were to get it closer to the road. So again, it's sort of a balancing act. You basically need to get close to this animal to get it to agitate. You then need to shoot at it so that it gets pretty close to you, and then you need to keep it interested in you. And as you guys can see, we were getting close to the city right here, and we got to this bridge when all of a sudden it just turned away. So I think there's something to do with this bridge right here. In fact, I've seen other videos where even if you don't shoot the alligator, it will just magically like die right on the bridge. Now, the big issue that I ran into here is that when I was trying to lure it back, I accidentally shot it, and that ended up killing the bull gator. So that's one thing I learned about this, is the bull gator is actually one of the easier animals if you're just looking to kill it. Because the great thing about the legendary animals is they don't have a pelt quality. You can kill it with whatever weapon you want, and you could use dynamite or fire bottles or revolvers or whatever the case is. It's not going to ruin the quality of the pelt. I did find it funny that the passerbyers here did not even bat an eye that there was literally like a 12-foot alligator hanging off of the edge of this bridge. So I knew that now this was going to get even more tricky, because you had to balance getting close to the alligator, you had to balance, not dying by the other little alligators, and then you had to not do enough damage to it. So I would recommend that you use a low damage weapon here. The varmint rifle would probably be your best bet, then followed by something like the Mauser, something that's going to generate just a little amount of damage. But even with all of that, what's weird is if you take the alligator out of its habitat, even if you get really, really close to it, it won't engage with you. I mean, I'm surprised how easy it was to take out this legendary animal. In fact, I'd say it's pretty easier than a lot of the other ones I've encountered, which is saying something considering how massive and giant this alligator actually is. In fact, I was getting so fed up and frustrated with this that as the alligator was running away, I literally was like jumping on its tail, and it would not react. So here's what I think happens with these animals. I think that there is a boundary limit that they are set to. Like, they can only go a certain distance, and that would explain why when they hit the bridge, they instantly die. And it also might explain why it's a little bit glitchy when you bring them pretty far away, and they'll eventually go back into their habitat. In this instance, the legendary gator will want to go back towards the swamp. So I guess that answers our question today. What happens if you try to bring or lure a legendary bull gator to Saint Denis? Well, the answer is it physically can't get there. Rockstar have set a boundary on this animal that it can only go a certain distance. However, because it can get close to people, it actually doesn't interact with them. It would have been cool if this thing went on like a Godzilla sort of rant and started like eating stagecoaches and started tearing up the city of San Denis. That would have been pretty cool. But unfortunately, you don't have the ability to do that because the alligator physically cannot get into the city, which is a little unfortunate, but it's also very, very difficult as well. So if you're just looking to take out the legendary alligator like normal, hopefully this video showed you just how easy it is. And if you're trying to navigate it into an area outside of its little spawn habitat, just know that it is one of the hardest things to do ever. I mean, staying close to it, shooting it, avoiding all the other little alligators, having it run away and turn back around. This was quite the process, let me tell you that. Now, sort of a fun fact you might not know about this legendary bull gator is it actually does have a name. At least according to the Rockstar Games Social Club, the name of the legendary bull gator is Lacartus. So I'm not sure if that means anything, but that bull gator has a name, which is kind of cool. Now, killing this legendary alligator allows you to get 4 unique items, 3 of which are clothing pieces: the legendary alligator gambler's hat, the legendary alligator vest, the legendary alligator fowlers. However, the best thing you can craft with this is the alligator tooth talisman, which requires the legendary alligator tooth, the vintage Civil War handcuffs, and a gold jointed bracelet. But this talisman lowers the drain speed of the Deadeye core by 10%. So a really good talisman that you can create just by killing this legendary animal. So that's something you might not have known. But needless to say, this was a really fun experiment. I wish there was something more to it, but I did have a good time sort of playing around with this alligator. That's probably the first time I'll ever say that in my life, that I had a good time messing around with an alligator. But if you're in chapter 6 or chapter 4 technically and beyond, definitely try this out for yourself. It was a ton of fun. As always, I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments down below. Let me know what you thought about this and more. If you guys did go on to enjoy this video, though, a like rating would of course be awesome. And subscribe to my YouTube channel if you are new or you like daily Red Dead Redemption 2 videos like this. With all the way, guys, like I said, thanks so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video.